welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome to my channel. My name's Hermione and today we are going to be doing some projects based on items that I found at the good old charity shops. I'm going to be doing some upcycling today. I've got 4 projects, although one of them I was looking for the item in the charity shops but I wasn't having any luck whatsoever, so I actually just borrowed the item from my nan's dining room. We like to reduce, reuse and recycle over here, so it's still a second-hand project and I'm pretty sure you could make this with items that you've thrifted, so hopefully you don't mind that one's a little sneaky, but I wanted to try out that method. You'll see it in a minute. So without further ado, let's jump in and do some DIY crafts. So the first thing I found in the charity shop was this frame, which was £2. It's got a cute little robin in it, but we can't keep him in there because we're trying something here. So I took out the print from inside and I did keep it. I kept it. It's very Christmassy. And I took all of the pieces out because I'm going to use some tile grout along the outside edge of the frame. Now, if you're going to do this, you'll want to find a very flat frame, and the wooden one that I found was quite nice and porous, so I think this worked really well. My grout, as you could see, was a little bit watery and very difficult to mix. Maybe it had been in there for too long, I don't know. But all I'm doing here is just taking a wooden lolly stick and a bit of the grout and applying it to the top in kind of sporadic circular movements and just adding it to the front of the frame and clearing it off of the inside and the outside edges to keep them nice and flat. You could do this effect all over the outside of the frame if you wanted to as well, and I do regret not doing a second coat, but it did turn out all right in the end. So this is how it looked before it dried, and then when it was dry I was able to add a coat of spray paint, and I went in with this olive green colour that I was dying to try out on something. I think a pale colour like a white or a cream would have looked nice as well. It gives it that kind of concrete effect. But here's how mine turned out. I threw an illustration from Flow magazine in here and I'm really pleased with it. So for the next DIY, I was dying to try out the trend that I see all over TikTok, which is putting bicarbonate of soda into some paint. So I picked up a few different paints in some terracotta type colors and loads of vases from the charity shops. They're always fairly inexpensive, maybe a couple of pounds per vase. And I just used a thick paintbrush and went crazy and painted all over the vase. And the thing about this hack is that you can paint pretty sloppily and it still looks good. After a couple of coats you can't really see the lines in the paint because of the texture it creates, which is so nice, because if you've ever painted something like glass or porcelain, you'll know that it goes really streaky and it's very hard to get rid of. So this hack is so cool. I started with this terracotta color and then I decided to go with some pink and some brown, so I went to the shop and picked some colors up. And I have some very embarrassing footage that I found on my hard drive, so here's that. I think what I like most about this technique is that you can have had a bottle of wine, social distance drinking with your friend, and it can be 1 in the morning and you can do this technique and it still looks good. Does it really though? Because if you look at the footage, that vase does not look as good as the rest. I love realizing that it's the crack of dawn on a Monday morning and I have B-roll to film when I wake up. Yay! You can even do this on glass. An update for you. I've got paint on the carpet. Oh, it's fine. Absolute everything is fine. Everything is fine. We'll see how that looks tomorrow, shall we? I've done worse. Let's crack on with the next one, shall we? And let's be thankful that I didn't get my needle and thread out when I was having those glasses of wine from earlier. So this next hack is using this daisy trim from the haberdashery. I got 2 different sizes, and the pillowcase I bought from the charity shop for £1.49. I believe the trim was £1.49 per metre as well, and I got 50 centimetres of each. So this is a very, very inexpensive craft. I'm cutting up all the daisies, and as you can see here, I'm trying to arrange them in a somewhat aesthetically pleasing looking way so that they look like they're spaced out but kind of natural. I took a picture of it to make sure that if I sneezed or something horrible, I could put the daisies back in the position that they were in, because it took me quite a while to get the layout I wanted for some reason. Anyway, there are 2 different ways you can try and attach these. You can sew them on, as I'm showing you here, which, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, it takes a very long time because they have lots of little petals and you don't want any of the petals sticking up. So I'm not gonna lie, I ended up doing 2, sewing them, and then I cracked out the fabric glue, which works just as well. Just make sure that you can get a fabric glue that you can wash in the washing machine if you want to throw this in for a good old wash. So I'm just painting that onto the back of the daisies, placing them down, and then to make sure that they're really well stuck down, I put that pot of grout from earlier on top of them just to push them into place, and that helped them dry for about 30 seconds or so while I was working on the next one. So once you have finished and completed all of your daisies in whichever method you'd like, you can then leave it to dry, and this is how mine turned out. I'm really happy with it. I think it looks very cute, and I couldn't believe how cheap this was to make. It's such a bargain, and it's a fun craft if you want to try it for yourself. For my next project, I'm not entirely sure how well this turned out, so you tell me, but I wanted to try a cane inspired lampshade. So I'm using this. It's an insert that holds up a lampshade. What I really wanted to find was an actual lampshade with a great inside metal structure, but I couldn't. So I'm using this instead, and some raffia, and I am just going to attach some pieces of raffia to the top and the base of this lampshade wire structure, and I'm tying it in a knot at the top and the bottom, and don't worry, we're going to glue this in place in a minute. I just wanted to create a bit more of a structure to this thing. In all honesty, I think wire might have been a better shout, but this worked perfectly fine, and it meant that I didn't have to try and conceal the wire. As you can see, I've done 6 of them, 2 on each section, and there's lots of little stringy bits hanging off the end. Don't cut these off, we're going to need them in a minute. Use your glue gun to attach all of the strings or the raffia pieces in place so that they don't move around, and then with these little extra strings you can wrap them around the base and the top of the lampshade to cover up that white metal. When you're done covering up the frame, you should have something that looks a bit like this. You can cover the extra bits if you want, but they will be sorted in a minute, so don't worry too much. And now I'm going on to the next stage, which is weaving. So I tied a piece of raffia and cut it to size, and I wove it around each of the sections. So I hope you can see here, but I'm doing that thing where I can't see what I'm doing on the camera, but as you can hopefully see, I'm just taking the piece of raffia, wrapping it around that section, coming back around, and then going on to the next section. Not tying it in a knot or anything, but just looping it around. And I went all the way around the base until I got to the next level, and I just carried on one section above, and I wrapped it all the way up to the top. I did spend about an hour or so doing this while watching some TV, and it worked out well in the end. You can use a glue gun every so often to make sure that it's staying in place if you want. And I mean, I think this project was kind of fun. I don't think it looks perfect, but it does look kind of how I imagined it was going to look. it's definitely a fun project, I'll say that. Maybe I've created Frankenstein's monster, but if you're going to create this, make sure you use an LED light bulb. No heat emitting light sources with this one, please and thank you. And this is how it turned out. So that is everything for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you're going to try and recreate any of these. If you do, I'd love to see. Tag me on Instagram and show me what you made. And with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching. Happy crafting, and I'll see you next time. Bye.